We'll now call the Common Council meeting of July 16th, 2024 to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Kirkowski is excused. Alderman Lorik is excused. Alderman Ritz.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Gale.
Here.
Guzekowski.
Here.
Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Lisa, you want to lead it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. That will get us to the approval of minutes of June 4th, 2024, which were held on the 18th of June. So please take a moment, and when you're satisfied, there's no discussion, errors, or omissions. Motion.
Marshall will move to approve the minutes of June 4th, 2024.
Gale second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
And item 4 is the approval of the minutes of June 18th, 2024. As I stated before, if there's any discussion, please take the floor. When you're satisfied there's no errors, omissions, or further discussion, motion.
Gale move to approve minutes of June 18th, 2024. Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And item 5 is consideration of a request submitted by William Nelson, the seller, to rezone the property at 800 West Oakwood Road from M1 Manufacturing to B2 Community Business. There will be no change to the floodway or flood fringe or the C1 Shoreland Wetland Conservancy Districts. Catherine, would you please read that in the record?
Certainly. Public hearing number 1 is to consider a request submitted by William Nelson, the seller, to rezone the property at 800 West Oakwood Road from M1 Manufacturing to B2 Community Business. No change to FW Floodway, FF Flood Fringe, or C1 Shoreland Wetland Conservancy Districts. Applicant is William Nelson, the seller. Property owner is William Nelson. Legal description there follows. Date of notice is May 28th, 2024.
Thank you very much. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. Matt Sullivan, Assistant City Administrator and City Engineer. I'll be taking these items for our Community Development Group. So items 5 and 6 we'll be talking about tonight. The rezoning of the seller at 800 West Oakwood Road. Rezoning from a B4 or M1 down to a B2. So the seller has purchased the 14.3 acre parcel that is northeast of them, which is currently zoned at M1. The proposal is to rezone to a B2 to be consistent with the existing parcel that they own. The CSM has already been approved, so it blends the two parcels together, which is going to allow them to expand their parking lot and do the improvements that they wish to do. On 5/28, it was recommended for approval by the Plan Commission, and there was no letters of objection. This is a public hearing, so if you would like to comment, please approach the podium, give your name and address, and address your comments or questions to the council. Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Matt. As Matt said, this is a public hearing. This will be the first call. Anybody wishing to speak, please approach the podium now. Second call. Anybody wishing to speak on item 5, please approach the podium. Third and final call. Anybody wishing to speak, item 5 on the rezone of the seller, please approach the podium, and we will need your name and address. Seeing no one commenting, we will close the public hearing and move on to consideration of an ordinance to rezone the property at 800 West Oakwood Road from to Community B2 Business with no change to the flood fringe, floodway, or the C1 Shoreland Wetland Conservancy District. So, council members, questions, comments?
I have none.
Okay, seeing none, motion.
We'll move to approve ordinance 3104, rezoning the property at 800 West Oakwood Road to B2 Community Business with no change to floodway, flood fringe, or C1 Shoreline Wetland Conservancy Districts.
Marshall will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Thank you, folks. All set. We'll move on to item 7, and that is consideration of a request submitted by Amir Musad, Vista Motor Works LLC for a conditional use permit for an automotive sales and indoor showroom in an existing multi-tenant building located at 9543 South Chicago Road. Once again, Catherine, would you read that on the record?
Certainly, public hearing number 2 is to consider a request submitted by Amir Masad Vista Motorworks LLC for a conditional use permit for automotive sales and an indoor showroom in the existing multi-tenant building located at 9543 South Chicago Road. Tenant address is 9555 South Chicago Road. Applicant is Amir Masad Vista Motorworks LLC. Property owners Steve P. and Deborah L. Petrios. Legal description there follows. Date of notice, June 18th, 2024.
Once again, Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a conditional use request for 9543 South Chicago. The current zoning is B4. Proposed is to have tenant space at this for sales of vehicles, indoor only, showroom and storage of 8 vehicles. There will be no repairs or maintenance. The hours of operation are such on the screen, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. by appointment. So as you see on your screen here, the applicant has agreed to bring the landscaping up to zoning standards and then also to enclose a refuse enclosure there in the rear of the building, bringing that up to our current zoning standards. The Plan Commission did review this on 528 and 611, went through many discussions on this, but they did come to a recommendation of approval. There were no letters of objections received. This is a public hearing. If you do want to comment, please approach the podium, provide your name and address, and address your comments to the council. Thank you.
That said, this public hearing is now open. This will be the first call. Second call, anybody wishing to speak on the subject, please step forward. We will need your name and address. Third and final call. Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and go on to item 8, which is consideration of an ordinance approving the conditional use permit for vehicle sales on the property at 9543 South Chicago. I'll open it up to the council for questions, comments. Jim, anything? Lisa, Ken? Okay, Chris?
Nothing.
Okay. Seeing no questions or discussions, motion please on 8.
Marshall will move to approve ordinance number 3105, approving a conditional use permit for vehicle sales on the property at 9543 South Chicago Road.
Guzekowski, a second.
Roll call?
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
And item 9 is consideration of a request submitted by James Rosen, Highgate LLC, to rezone a portion of the property at 1402 West Hampstead Lane from B4 General Business, PUD, to I1 Institutional. Catherine, would you please read that one in the record?
Certainly, public hearing number 3 is to consider a request submitted by James Rosen, Highgate LLC, to rezone a portion of the property at 1402 West Hampstead Lane from B4 General Business PUD to I1 Institutional PUD. Applicant is James Rosen, Highgate LLC. Property owner James Rosen, Highgate LLC. Legal description there follows. Date of notice is June 18th, 2024.
Thank you. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request to rezone 1402 West Hampstead Lane. Current zoning is B4 PUD. The proposal is to rezone that to I1 Institutional. No change to the PUD related to the CSR. This is related to the CSM, which is going to be the next item that we'll address. It is anticipated that this will be a rehabilitation hospital development. It is in line with what was proposed in 2018 for the hard corner of Drexel and 13th, which was anticipated to be a rehabilitation or outpatient hospital at one point. So this is in line with our development planning. This will allow us, or allow the applicant then to have a a clean CSM and bring it within the same zoning, make it a clean development. So as you see on the screen here, this was the portion that will be rezoned to institution. This here on the screen is the conceptual plan, whereas the northern portion that will primarily be rezoned will be a parking lot to facilitate rehabilitation hospital. The hospital will be on the southern portion of the parcel. Plan Commission did recommend approval on 6/25, and there were no letters of objection. This is a public hearing. Please approach the podium, provide your name and address, address the council with your questions.
Thank you, Matt. This public hearing is now open. This will be the first call on the rezone. Second call, anybody wishing to speak, we will need your name and address as you approach the podium. Third and final call. Okay, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing on 9 and go to consideration of the ordinance rezoning a portion of the property at 1402 West Hampstead Lane to I-1 institutional. Council members? Questions, comments?
Questions?
Nothing to the right. Nothing to the left.
Oh, down here, Dan.
Oh, you got something, Ken?
No.
No? Okay. Seeing nothing, motion on 10.
Marshall will move to approve ordinance number 3106, rezoning of a portion of the property at 1402 West Hampstead Lane to I-1 institutional.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call?
Alderwoman Marshall?
Aye.
Gale?
Aye.
Guzekowski?
Aye.
Ritz?
Aye.
And item 11 is consideration of a resolution approving the certified survey map submitted by James Rosen Highgate LLC for the properties at 1402 West Hampstead Lane and 7836 South Highgate Avenue. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. This is conjunction with the last item that we had, so it is a certified survey map for the two properties as stated. This would reconfigure the two parcels into one to facilitate the rehabilitation center in the I-1 district. Outlot 9 will remain as a whole. There is 7.6 acres, and lot 10, the new parcel, will that be 4.06. Shown such. Once again, the Plan Commission recommended this approval on 6/25. There were no letters of objections received. If you have any questions or comments, I'll try to answer.
Any questions, comments on the CSM for Matt? Okay. Seeing none, motion on 11.
It will move to approve resolution 12508-071624, approving a certified survey map submitted by James Rosen Highgate LLC for the properties at 1402 West Hampstead Lane and 7836 South Highgate Avenue.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call?
Alderman Gale?
Aye.
Guzekowski?
Aye.
Ritz?
Aye.
Marshall?
Aye.
And item 12 is under old business, and it's consideration of an ordinance approving a rezone of RD1 two-family residential, and there'll be no change to the floodway or flood fringe districts, and to amend the plan unit development, PUD, affecting the portions of the property at 641 and 819R East Drexel. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. This is for the rezoning and plan unit development amendment for Stone Brook on the park, which is adjacent to Abendschein Park, which is directly west. This was before the Common Council about a month ago, and it was sent back to the Plan Commission for more review on primarily the facade of the garage. Percentage-wise, our zoning code does not allow anything more than 45% when it's 5 foot in front of the facade of the home. It's 50% when it's equal, 55 when it's 1 foot or more behind the facade of the home. They were proposing to have 20 structures, up to 20 buildings with 55% or more. Council so deemed it to go back to the Plan Commission for review. They did review that. They did recommend approval of the amendment on that. There are some other items on there, road name sections, some landscaping requirements that would offset the zoning change or the PUD change for the 55, which was inclusion of a a split rail fence along a landscaping area. So that was one of the areas that he was willing to add on to his project, help facilitate this a little bit more. That pretty much covers the amendment for the PUD. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions for you in regards to
Okay.
it.
Council members, questions, comments?
I
Lisa?
have a couple of questions and comments with this. So there have been multiple things that have been coming through, and I understand this is a PUD and it's approved through the city. But we have citizens that are trying to build homes that are now having to go up in front of the BOZA committee and ask for this to be done there, but yet a PUD doesn't have that. So what I would like to ask is, I would like to ask for us to review section 17.0403 subsection D, section 4G 1A, and section 17-0403 subsection D4 G1 subsection B, which is about the garages and the percentages. I just feel that we have more and more homeowners that are coming through, but yet we're gonna let a PUD come through and do more than the percentage of what's in the ordinance.
True in this case, and that's the advantage of doing an entire PUD where you're developing a large area and not a onesie-twosie home. So whether the ordinance is perfect or not, you know, to make it feasible within this PUD, sometimes the lots, the setbacks get changed and have to facilitate the PUD. In this case, it's garage facades, because there's only 66 units maybe in this whole unit going forward. So, you know, what you'd like to do would really be a discussion with staff going forward.
Correct.
Without a doubt. I mean, we went through it before, and we really struggled with this whole garage issue going before, because we don't want a house looking like a giant garage with a small little cabin attached to it. That's the bottom line with it. We understand that. And people these days, and believe me, I'd like a bigger garage, want a big garage. You know, we got more things going on and stuff like that, but that's kind of the advantage of it.
I don't think, Mayor, I do not think that would be inappropriate for staff to review
No.
that section of code and bring it forward if they deem necessary to the
Right.
Plan Commission for further discussion.
Right, so I mean, Lisa, if you want to go that route, we can discuss it with staff going forward. Andrew, you got something?
Excuse me, Mayor. I'll just echo what Matt said. You know, we've kind of run into a few of these nits and gnats since our since our massive overhaul of the zoning code, and we have been seeing there's some gaps in maybe the application, you know, across all zoning districts, for instance, just doesn't quite work out. So we'll look into some of those things, especially on this. There's another one coming forward that you're aware of, Mayor, with, you know, limitations on the number of dwelling units on a cul-de-sac or a dead-end street, you know, stuff like that. So we're prepared to look into that and see if we can do, you know, have some better policy to govern as we make these decisions.
And quite frankly, even when we did redo the code 2 years ago already,
Oh, it was 3.5.
3.5.
It was approved in January
So it came through, and, you know, we were like, have you talked to home builders going forward? Because, you know, they make the garages a little deeper these days and the whole thing, and overall, they said, well, the home builder shouldn't be affected. No sooner did we do it, and there were some folks building homes going, my whole design shop, and I literally can't make it. So, we know it's not perfect, but that's the way we based it when we read it.
I'm not, I like what they're doing with the PUD. I don't have a problem with that, but I do think that it just needs to be reviewed.
Yeah, and staff can do that. Certainly, they're better equipped to do that than me, particularly right here.
I certainly don't want to have a policy debate, but I will say, though, I remember the conversation on this item, and the desired outcome was, there was a consensus as to the desired outcome. We did not want this look to perpetuate or persist. So we'll have, in our review of that in an objective way, we'll have to also balance the fact that the flavor of the day, so.
Correct.
We'll have to
And-
see. if
And
we
in
can-
this case, within the PUD and the lot sizes, given what it is and side by sides, the project would have to literally drop dwelling units, and it would be infeasible to do the entire project in this particular case.
What's the designation?
That is,
Yeah,
condos.
single family is RS, 1,
RS.
2, 3, 4, 5, I think.
Any other discussion?
All right, Matt, just, Andrew, maybe you can even clarify too, but right now, our zoning code gives the planning commission discretion to review these
Under the PUD, correct.
so that is particularly,
So instead of going to Bose as a single family resident, development has to go in front of plan commission for any conditions and restrictions.
that is very particular.
Correct.
Mayor Dan's point, and I won't say an exact number, don't quote me on this, but a PUD has to be a certain number of subdivided parcels or a certain amount of acres to be able to do a PUD, I believe. Maybe that was part of the revision too, so you can kick me from there, Matt, that's fine.
I can't confirm that
Okay.
or deny it.
Plausible.
Confirm or deny? That sounds familiar.
So this, Matt, this, Dan, you were at the planning that,
Yeah.
by approving this, this allows him the, since is he stopped after his grading? Or he's not constructing anything currently, right?
No, currently they're doing sanitary sewer and grading. This stopped the plat approval, which will be your next item, which thus stopped further development once the infrastructure was.
Current design.
And he's only allowed a maximum of 20 buildings. So
Out of how
there is
many?
a set out of 33, there is a set number. There is a set number within the PUD that is allowed to have that 55%.
Yeah, because
up
some
to
of them,
55.
some of them will be on the corner, and they'll have side garages, so they're not front-facing facade, then it changes.
Correct.
Was 26 of the buildings comprised of 55%,
26 of the 33.
correct? And then for the garages, 7 buildings was 63%.
That was in the original PUD. I think the amendment was for 55.
The one that's right here.
I want to confirm that language that's on the green. I looked through the PUD, it was a different language.
Okay.
Conditions and restrictions.
Problem.
You are approving the conditions and restrictions that are in your packet.
Yeah. I do want a second. to
Danny,
come
can you
over.
give us?
Look under item 3, is that 7? Looking under the ordinance, you'd want to look at section 5, which is, section 3A is revised 3. There will be a maximum of 33 single-family units. Maximum of 20 buildings can have garages that reach the maximum of 55.
I found it.
Ordinance.
Good.
Well spotted, man, well spotted.
That goes along with what the plan commission did review and approve. Did review that prior to the meeting.
Any other discussions? Okay. I'll ask for a motion on, what are we on, 12? 12. We're cruising.
You asked for a motion, Danny?
Motion, yes.
All right, Gail, we'll move to approve ordinance 3102, approving a rezone to RD1, two-family residential, and to amend a plan unit development affecting portions of the properties at 641 and 819R East Drexel Avenue.
Guzekowski, a second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall. Aye. Gale.
Aye.
And item 13 is consideration of a resolution approving the condominium plat submitted by Ryan Jansen Bruckner LLC for the Stonebrook on the Park condominiums on the properties at 6140, 819R East Drexel Avenue.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for the approval of the condominium plat. This kind of goes hand in hand with our last approval. We held this item along with the amendment, and that was simply because if it had to change, the plat would change, depending on what was approved for that amendment. Since the amendment was moved forward as such, the plat does represent what was approved. So the recommendation would be for approval of that plat, and we can move forward. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions and comments from Matt concerning the plat? Left? Okay, hearing none. Motion on 13, please.
Gale, sorry, you got it, Jim?
Go ahead, Ken.
No, you got it, man.
Ritzel motion to, I'm sorry. Ritzel, motion to approve number 12499-052124, approving a condominium plat submitted by Ryan Jansen Bruckner LLC for the Stonebrook condominium properties at 641 R East Drexel Avenue.
Guzekowski, second.
Roll call.
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall. Aye. Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
And item 14 is consideration of a motion to authorize the city administrator to make any necessary adjustments to the city's third-party administrator, known as TPA, agreement with UMR to implement the Nexus AOC program in 2025. And Matt and Tony, I think, are here to take that one.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Max Skagen,
Oh,
Deputy
Max.
City
Sorry, did I call
Administrator
you
and
Matt?
Finance Director. It's all right, Matt.
He had such a heavy load. He just kept rolling with it.
No, that's all right. So before you tonight is authorization for City Administration to make necessary adjustments to our third-party administrator agreement with UMR, who's our medical benefit provider, to implement the Nexus ACO program for 2025. So I want to give a brief presentation, talk about the city's health insurance fund and its financial performance, talk about a 2025 budget projection, kind of what are we anticipating if there's no adjustments to our health insurance benefits, talk a little bit about the UMR Nexus ACO program, and then provide the Common Council with an updated budget projection should we decide to implement the Nexus ACO program. So looking at the fund's financial performance, have a 6-year history of the insurance fund's financial performance. The big things that I would point out for the mayor and common council, you can see total revenues and total expenses, but really what we've realized is we've seen a net loss in the health insurance fund in 5 of the last 6 years. And really 2020 was the only year we didn't. And that specifically relates to the COVID-19 pandemic and the lack of access to healthcare services, cancellation of elective surgeries, and so on and so forth. So certainly we had a very large loss in 2018 as we were with a different third-party administrator. That program just didn't work, so moved over to UMR in 2019. But you'll even see in more recent history, 2 out of the last 3 years, we've lost almost $800,000. In 2022, we lost $125,000. And actually, if you were to look at some of the budgetary projections from Gallagher, we should have actually saw some surplus there. So we do have an issue with just having a structural deficit in the budget that we really need to right size. So over that 6-year period, we've lost $4.4 million, so pretty significant. And the city's general fund has really had to pick up that burden of that loss. So what you'll see is in this transfer in line item, the general fund, whenever we have surpluses, we've been utilizing funds, transferring it to the health insurance fund to prop it up. So really not an ideal situation in that we have this structural budget deficit and that we're relying on surpluses every year in our largest operating budget to really close the gap. And we've contributed about $4.2 million over that time, so pretty significant. And, you know, the one thing I would say is that looking at just kind of the trends the next few years with medical inflation, prescription inflation, as well as looking at the future and what we anticipate for general fund surpluses, we're just going to come to this pinch point where we're going to see costs increase for health insurance and we're not going to be realizing surpluses, future surpluses that could cover it. I can tell you that, you know, in some of these years like 21, 22, 23, we had some really one-off items that allowed us to funnel surpluses to health insurance. So we had the land sale of Lakeshore Commons, we had a very large environmental insurance payout, and then we've just realized significant interest earnings in the last year and a half. But, you know, we're anticipating Fed's going to start cutting rates probably closer to the end of the year. So I would anticipate 25, 26, those drop off, especially once those CDs mature. So I really don't have a long-term opportunity to kind of continue with the structural deficit and relying on general fund surpluses. So looking at the budgetary projections, so Gallagher, our city's health insurance broker, has their actuaries look at projections. There's a lot of things they put into their model. The next slide shows the detail, but I guess if I were to sum it up, if we weren't going to make any changes to the self-insured portion of the city's health insurance plan, we would be realizing about a $640,000 increase in the city share, so about 9.3%. And they would be anticipating another $763,000 increase, or about a 10% increase for 2026. So as you can see, some pretty significant dollars. And what I can share with you is that, you know, when I'm looking at the overall 2025 budget, our net new construction, we're thinking it's going to be about 2.25%. Net new construction, again, is how much we can increase property taxes for operating expenses. And that's going to net out about $550,000. We're also anticipating some increases in state shared revenue with the addition of Act 12 and that indexing to sales tax growth, but that's only about 2.7%. And those are our two largest revenue sources. And those two largest revenue sources make up over 80% of the general fund's budget, 87% of revenue. And those two won't yield an additional $640,000 for next year. So when we're talking about the scope and perspective of the problem, when you're talking about almost 90% of your revenue sources aren't going to grow by the amount that they're saying our health insurance is going to cost additionally for next year, that's when we really have to take a close look and see, are there better ways we can do this? Are there ways we can contain costs while still trying to provide a very robust benefit plan and minimize employee disruption? So that was kind of the charge that Tony and I had over the last 6 months in trying to figure out what solutions. So I'm not going to go through this. This is the actuaries, but I can tell you based off latest trends, right now medical inflation is running at 7.2% and prescription drug inflation is running at 12.3%. So it's really picked up in the last few years post-COVID. So next, just want to talk a little bit about UMR's Nexus ACO program, but before I do, just want to kind of set the stage for what we have now. So UMR is a part of United Healthcare. They're currently our third-party administrators, so they do all the claims benefit administration on our behalf. We're self-insured, so we have like a weekly check register and we pay them. And currently we are part of UMR's Choice Plus network or program, which is a very broad network. You can basically see any provider in the Southeast Wisconsin area part of that network. And the Nexus ACO is still part of the UMR network. So this is not any adjustments to the city's health insurance network. The program is different in that it's just a tiered benefit program. And it has some other nuances, such as requiring primary cares physicians for all members who can kind of oversee quarterback care, as well as it really focuses on the ACO part. So stands for Accountable Care Organizations. So those are organizations that United Health and UMR have vetted. They have contractual arrangements with for discounts because those healthcare providers provide the best health outcomes at the most cost-effective pricing. So based off of United Healthcare and UMR. They believe that these are the providers that ultimately are going to be the best for their members because they provide best outcomes for the best price. And what UMR and United Healthcare have seen on the nationwide scale is that employers who have switched to this program are seeing about a 15% savings in their health insurance. So just kind of understanding how a tiered network works, and specifically with the ACO program. So currently, the city, either you're in network or you're out of network. So if you're in network, then all of your standard deductibles, out-of-pocket maxes apply, and then if you go out of network, there's a little bit higher, there's additional co-insurance, things of that nature. And with the Nexus ACO program, it's essentially adding 2 tiers to the in-service network. So you'll see the tier 1, those are those accountable care providers, accountable care organizations. And again, there's 164 markets, 43 states. I have a slide that kind of shows where those are at. And then the other benefits are tier 2. So those are providers still in network, but just not the ones that have that are classified as ACOs and don't have those specialty contractual arrangements. And then the third are out of network providers. So this slide is just kind of showing the footprint of the Nexus ACO program. So you can see it's pretty broad-based. You can see pretty robust in Wisconsin as well, but it also does cover a large portion of the country, as we do have retirees who also participate in the self-insured medical benefit program. Looking at its footprint in Wisconsin, you'll see it covers all of southeast Wisconsin, as well as kind of going up into the Fox Valley. You'll see that what is considered a tier 1 provider are 4 of the 6 largest health medical care providers in southeast Wisconsin. So those are Advocate Aurora, Children's of Wisconsin, Braidert, and the Medical College of Wisconsin. So 4 of the 6 are classified as tier 1, and anything that is outside of tier 1 would be a premium designation, which would then kind of follow. If you're outside of a Nexus network, you would follow a premium designation and you would still have access to tier 1 benefits. So we had Gallagher and UMR do an analysis of our current membership and just trying to figure out if we were to move to the Nexus ACO program, kind of what we would realize or what disruption we may see. Because again, one of the stated goals as we were going through this analysis was really trying to minimize disruption to our membership. So you'll see that currently we have about 282 employees or retirees on the plan. So if you're thinking about membership, it's about 720. You'll see that 80% of our membership are active employees and about 20% are retired employees. And in the market, so all of the active employees reside in a Nexus market, and 60 of the 66 retirees are in a market, and the other 6 are in a premium designation market, which again doesn't mean they don't have access to those tier 1 benefits. It just means that the Nexus ACO program, specifically outlining those accountable care organizations, are designated. However, they do have agreements with tier 1 providers within those designation markets. They also looked at our claims history, and they looked at it for 2023. So about 92% of all of the dollars spent from the self-insured plan happen within this Nexus ACO program or market. So people are already utilizing those 4 tier 1 providers in southeast Wisconsin, and about 8-9% are using premium designation. So again, that's only those 6 members. And then if you look at the spend within the actual markets, we're seeing about 70% of all dollars that we pay are within those tier 1 providers, either the 4 within southeast Wisconsin or tier 1 providers throughout the country. And about 30% are in a tier 2 benefit. So what you'll see is that really only 0.2% are outside of network. So again, trying to minimize that employee disruption, and you'll see even if we were to make a change, 99.8% of all spend is still very good. And then you'll see inside that premium designation market. So again, those are the ones that don't have the Nexus ACO program yet, but still have the access. You can see it's even higher, almost 92%. So pretty significant utilization of those tier one benefits currently if we were to move to this program. So next, just kind of looking at, this is a high level overview of the city's health insurance plan that we offer to our employees and retirees. I'll kind of walk through it because we do have to make some design changes in order to implement this tier 1 and tier 2. So currently, I'll just represent it for a family plan. So currently, if you're a non-represented employee, the deductible for a family is $2,000 and the coinsurance is 100%. So once you incur $2,000 worth of medical bills, the city pays 100% of all costs above $2,000. And you can see out of network, it is a little bit higher. The deductible is twice as much, and the out-of-pocket's about 4 times as much, 80%. And again, really the design is because you're trying to steer all your business within network where there's service contracts. And what you'll see for the Nexus ACO plan design is that what is being proposed is we would have tier 1 benefits model what is the current network. So again, we showed that about 70% of all the spend is still in network. That would still be tier 1 under this. So if you were to still access one of those 4 providers in this area, about 70% of those dollars would see really no change in their overall health insurance program, their cost. What you see is the introduction of this tier 2, again, still in network, but it does have the same deductibles. It does have some co-insurance, so employees would be paying 30% of medical bills over the deductible, and then the out-of-pockets were a little bit higher so that you pay the portion up to, but the out-of-pocket max is $4,000. Then you see tier 3 is essentially the out-of-network, and it very closely aligns to what you see above, other than the co-insurance is now 50%.
So that tier 2 is
Correct. So those would still be anyone who's in network, who's not classified as an accountable care organization. Looking at our 2025 budget, and if we were to implement the Nexus ACO program, I'm not going to go through all of this, but utilizing all the same assumptions other than kind of the steerage and the discounts that UMR has with those 4 tier 1 providers, you'd see that instead of looking to realize a budget increase of about $640,000, UMR is currently, or Gallagher is currently modeling, we would see a reduction in our budget about $130,000. But so overall savings probably about $750,000. However, from a budgetary perspective, I think what we would prefer is we'd like to do our best to keep our rates the same between the 2 years. Certainly, we can do our best to project what discounts are, but it's really difficult when you're self-insured. It's all based off of claims modeling, and certainly the change in the structure and the plan design is going to change people's behavior. You'll probably see more people access tier 1 benefits, so they don't have to pay additional out-of-pocket for tier 2 benefits. So again, this is just the modeling that Gallagher has, but what we would look to do is try and keep our budgeted rates the same between the 2 years, with the recognition that there is going to be some variance between their modeling, and also trying to overcome some of that structural deficit I talked about earlier. Because we did have a year where even though our budget says we should have had a surplus, we actually did see a loss. with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions council might have.
Any questions for Max or Tony?
Obviously, the other option, really revamping their program, changing rates.
Yeah, so what I would say is that, you know, of the things we've looked at, you know, certainly if you were to explore all options, you could certainly look at a different third-party administrator, which would be a complete change in network for potentially doctors or our employees. You know, really wanted to try and avoid that, really wanted to see, can we work within the current network to realize savings? That's kind of what I'm very fortunate that the Nexus ACO program could offer. And, you know, just given that they have better negotiated discounts with those 4 providers. And again, a lot of our employees are already using those providers, so it's really just the access. You know, for the amount of very minimal disruption to realize that level of plan savings is pretty unique, to conceptually realize that level of plan savings. I would say if the city did not move towards this program, you know, certainly the other things we would have to look at would be our deductibles. Do we have to start implementing co-insurance or in-network? We have to increase our out-of-pocket maximums in-network, as well as looking at our premium share. So employees currently pay 10%. We may have to pay more. And
With this program, when would it?
we would start this for open enrollment this year, which takes effect January 1st, 2025.
If I may, Mayor.
During open enrollment, you would have educational classes for the employees, because that's always a hard thing to do, is get a new understanding of what's been your habit for a while.
Absolutely, and we've been preparing with UMR and Gallagher on that already. And we do in-person open enrollment classes as well. So we do have 2 peer municipalities in Milwaukee County who moved to this last year, or I guess 24. So we've really been in contact with them monthly, trying to figure out what challenges they had with implementation, open enrollment, and after the fact. There's some minor hiccups here and there, but otherwise it's been pretty smooth.
Just wanted to reiterate a couple things that Max said, but just note, you know, we really value the workforce that we have in the city, and we have a really tremendous medical benefit here. And we have tried to stave off making drastic decisions and drastic, you know, cost shifting to mitigate these costs, as you can see, to the tune of supplementing with general fund surpluses over the last several years. But to reiterate, this is a good plan for the now, for what we are anticipating as a cost increase for 2025 to mitigate that. That does not mitigate the structural deficit that Max had talked about going forward, which will need to be a layer cake approach of solutions and new strategies. As you know, because you're on the bargaining team, Jim, so you've heard me, you know, say this, that you know, we have a really, really rich benefit, and we've really done our best to honor that medical benefit. But with the way medical inflation is, prescription inflation and the way levy limits operate is just not sustainable forever. And we're getting out of it ahead a little bit in terms of we have some time to manage that structural deficit over a period of years.
Well said. No, and I'll agree with you. I mean, we do have some great employees, and we have to provide them benefits as well as wage, but benefits play into it largely. Even as you're heading into retirement, you really have to look at these things all the way around, and people really don't understand their medical benefits usually until they need them, and then they get a quick understanding of what they're about. So I think we're really fortunate that, you know, we're in the position we're in. We can slowly make these changes without an effect financially to them with this particular change. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Other discussions, questions? Okay. Seeing none, motion then please on 14.
So move to authorize the city administrator to make any necessary adjustments to the city's third-party administrator agreement with UMR to implement the Nexus ACO program in 2025.
Guzekowski, second.
Roll call?
Alderwoman Marshall. Aye. Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Item 15 is under Public Works and Utility, and it's consideration of a resolution approving a 25-foot public water main easement at 517 East Rawson. We have Brian Johnston with us. Welcome, Brian.
Welcome. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
We're here to talk about an easement at Rawson Business Park. So we have a public water main that's running through this private development. This easement is just covering the water main so that we can access it, operate it, and maintain it for the life of the water main.
Pretty easy. Any questions, concerns on it? No discussion, no questions? I'll ask for a motion.
So, move to adopt resolution number 12509-071624, approving a 25-foot public water main easement at 517 Rawson Avenue.
Marshall will second.
Roll call?
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And item 16 is consideration of a motion to award the Sixth Street Sanitary Relay Project construction contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Globe Contractors, Inc., based on a bid amount of $543,460, and to amend the 2024 CIP budget by $625,000 for the design and construction of the South Sixth Street Sanitary Relay. Brian?
This is part of the Sixth Street improvements, the bridge work that engineering is working on and replacing the bridge on Sixth Street. We originally started with this, we were gonna leave the sanitary sewer alone. We've ended up with a couple different design iterations through this, based on input we've got from the bridge contractors and the DOT, requiring us to move some things around, that it is, the existing sanitary sewer runs underneath the bridge, which would go through the proposed piers of the bridge. Contractors worried about damaging that clay pipe through there, even though majority of it is covered in concrete, through the bridge section. And it's very flat. It's right at the bottom of the channel currently, so DNR is concerned with it. We were looking at putting a concrete casing over the pipe and keeping it in place, but it'd be higher than what the channel is when it's completed, so DNR is worried about fish and everybody else getting able to move down the stream. So the best option is to eliminate the sanitary sewer altogether from underneath the bridge and the creek. We'll cut off the sewer north of the bridge, put in a new manhole. That sewer north of there will all remain the same. Everything from that point south through the bridge will get removed, and then we'll relay a new section to take that sewage from the bridge on the south side south, and we're changing the flow of that sewer to run it all south now. We ended up about another 500 feet of sewer we had to install with this. So our original project was zero on it, and now we're at, $600,000 plus to get this sewer in. So
That'll tie into Drexel Avenue.
it's way short of Drexel Avenue, but that sewage does come down south to
That way.
Drexel.
Questions for Brian? Probably a wise decision all in all. And here's the thing, how old's the sewer and did you scope it? Section going
We have cameraed it. The sewer through the bridge section still looks fantastic. It's roughly 60 years old, so it's getting close to needing some operational maintenance on it. We would look at lining it if we were leaving it in place, but given everything else is going on, it just makes more sense to move it around. It's just dollars at this point to get it removed.
I mean, I imagine the contractor has a valid concern about potentially
They do. Clay pipe is very brittle. So when that came up, the piers are gonna be really close to this pipe, and the vibrating of the, installing all those piers, we're gonna go in and just line the main. And then if they crack the main, the clay pipe, it's fine. We have a structural liner inside of that that is gonna withstand anything else that they're doing out there. The next issue that we ran into was the DOT said that we have a manhole that's in the approach slab of the new bridge, and they wanted that removed out of the approach slab. So now we gotta go in and move a manhole.
Is that typical, or?
It is, yeah. But they don't want anything within that bridge structure. So now we're moving that manhole outside of the approach slab. We had to relay a portion of that pipe. We're like, we'll just relay this whole pipe in PVC, keep it in place underneath the bridge. Then the DNR came back and said it's 2 inches higher than what the channel is. That's gonna cause a flow issue for the fish and animals getting up and down the creek, so that was denied, so it's come up with a new plan. We just don't have slope in that pipe. The existing pipe is below our minimum at this point, of what we would allow currently. Now, in 60 years, we've never had an issue with that pipe, but it's well below what our minimum slope would be, so we can't raise it around, we can't drop it, we can't move it anyplace else in the channel, so. The last option is get rid of it altogether and make it go south.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, motion on 16.
I'll move to award the South Sixth Street Sanitary Relay Project construction contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Globe Contractors, based on the bid amount of $543,460, and to amend the 2024 CIP budget by $625,000 for the design and construction of the South Sixth Street Sanitary Relay.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall. Aye. Gale.
Aye.
And item 17 is engineering. It's consideration of a motion to approve a change order of the North Lakefront Bluff Stabilization and Revetment Project in the amount of $1,002,011.55.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Common Council, as you remember, in the 2024 budget preparation, we discussed this item at length, I think, in regards to the stability of the bluff, the contractor safety, and other items that, went along with the construction of this. We were at that time asking for 2.5 million, I think, roughly, for the amendment onto the contract or for a future change order. This change order has finally come forward. We finalized a lot of the numbers. We're at that point where we wanted to bring this forward and formally put this forward to your presence as far as approval. We can go through a little bit further, but like I stated, this kind of helped with us in a number of different ways. So on the screen here, kind of looking at the original design versus the alternative design, which we've moved forward with. So one of the main things that we've added here is the top of the bank, as you can see in the red hatched area. There is a point on there that says current design point. That's approximately where we were tying in. These slopes were greater than 3 to 1. So at some points along that bluff, we were having slopes that would not be traversable or usable by people, general standards or safety. So one of the thoughts here was to cut that back safely, remove that material and stockpile it on site. The other one was to address the concerns with the safety at the toe of the slope, which you'd be looking at the cyan color, the blue, light blue. So that was supposed to be used with a soil which had to be compacted by machinery and equipment and men right up against that slope, which in some areas were 80 plus feet vertical. So we went with a granular fill, which didn't require compaction. Toss it in pretty much how they say it, they tossed it in instead of the use of upland soil. Once again, this greatly reduced some of our safety risks and concerns that we had through this entire project. Here's a few pictures here of the slope prior to them getting there. So you can see the bluff. And in that kind of inset, that's one of the sloughs that occurred. So just imagine yourself below that and vibrating, creating that unstable, stability there, and that coming down. That's an unpredictable safety concern. So this kind of gives you a pretty good idea and presentation of what they were dealing with when they first approached the site. Sorry about the fog, but that was actually during those wildfires back in 2022, 2023, Canada. Still amazing that we caught that. So this is, as we progressed, this is the revetment part. This is the stabilization of and protection of the bluff itself. It's considered the revetment. This is coming from in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. You'll notice that's the water intake. So this is working south to north. This is in front of the High Night, Fifth Properties property, and the Beezer Canal. This area was not going to be stabilized as far as the bluff, because at the time we didn't have the land, nor did we have the permitting for that section to stabilize. So we were only doing the revetment, and it was primarily for the protection of the bluff itself. So this is one of the major things that occurred during our time here when we were looking to stabilize the bluff, and this is the granular fill. So the area that's kind of stockpiled right up tight against the bluff, that was moved in with conveyor belts. So they placed a conveyor belt, and then they moved that material up there, got it so they didn't need to compact it, and then they were able to move some of the equipment in a little closer to start moving that stone around. So you can see it's kind of a process going through here, but this is right in front of Peter Cooper area. And you also notice kind of like where my cursor is right here circling, those are one of the areas where you can actually walk down and touch the water. We talked about that quite a bit. It's kind of a cool feature. So this is kind of an overview of the entire Peter Cooper after we placed our soil and granular fill there. This is approximately before we started cutting the bluff back and then moving in to do our full stabilization of the entire bluff. So this picture was taken about a week ago. So you can see where we've already cut back the bluff on the north end. This is up near MMSD property. They're bringing the soil, erosion control, and different types of matting there to protect our bluff so we don't lose it in the future. We're at the point now, that's approximately 300 feet only. Think about bluff length. That is where we're at right now. We're continuing to move. We're looking to start planting native plantings this week, which is a big step. We're trying to get this done before July 15th. July 18th is the kind of the last go here to get native plantings in. We'll continue to move down that bluff. We'll be using more of a cover crop throughout the time. So part of this change order also is to do the native plantings and the management of that native plantings through this fall and then into the spring. The reason it wasn't part of the original contract, they did not know how quick this project was going to go. They did not know the timing of when it would be ready because of the sensitivity of the timing for native plantings. They just pulled it out of the project. So they had a subcontractor on board, gave us cost to place native plantings and to do it in basically 7 different settings. So they had 7 to 10 different mobilizations to come in. That's why it costs around $80,000 to $90,000 to place your native plantings. So that's part of the contract mod too. So that's kind of where we're at right now on the entire project itself. If you have any questions, I'm going to be able to answer those. I'm more in tune with this project than I was with the past items. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have in regards to this. The change order itself is actually in your packet. So you can see the items that we've subtracted out, the ones we've added, to get a better feel for what we kind of moved and adjusted through. I can say Edgerton and our prior staff, Sue Winnan, they worked diligently on this to get this down to $1 million. It's pretty substantial. It's pretty impressive that they're able to do this amount of work and to get this to a point. One other point I'd like to make here is this is still lower than the second bid, just the base bid of the project when we first bid it out a year ago. So once again, Edgerton was much lower. They're working within real good parameters, and they're being real honest and truthful and transparent on everything that they've been working with us on so far to this point. And it's within, I think it's like 11% or 10% of the entire bid.
Is there erosion, this is separate from this project. Is there erosion mitigation further out off the shore?
No, not any further. This will be, at this point, this will protect the bluff. It's pretty amazing. If you ever get a chance, I'd be more than happy to take any council member down there.
Oh, I want to.
It's very impressive when you're walking next to it, and actually on a good windy day, you'll get sprayed with water. It's test today, I believe, at one point, but yeah, it's pretty impressive what they've done and how that works. And just the scale itself when you're down there it's almost overwhelming. Right, now you're asking me to do stuff.
Sorry.
Q&A slide.
I am, like I said,
Go back to slide 22. Yeah, so Jim, if you look at the picture on the screen now, the revetment is in part of it, and then if you go up to the very top of the picture on the right-hand side, the revetment isn't in from the little, it was a
Yeah,
pump house.
this was the old pump house right
Yeah,
here.
which is down now, but the
Yeah.
revetment wasn't in there, and then if you go to the next couple slides, Matt, it shows the revetment in.
So the old pump house was approximately right here.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
so this is the revetment that stopped the collapse into the lake.
We're about 100 to 115 feet, 20 feet out into the actual water with the revetment itself. So I guess, yes, we did go out into the water substantially to protect the bluff. But that also allows us to create that 3-to-1 slope, that 3-foot horizontal to every 1-foot vertical, which then makes that a traversable slope we can put in our trails and our passive area.
And how many linear feet on the second phase?
The entire length was over 2,500 linear feet, so we're about 2/3 in front of Peter Cooper.
And I meant, Jim, you done?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think I heard you say, you had originally estimated this was gonna be north of 2.5 million.
Yeah, originally Edgerton came about 2.5, 3 million was their original.
So we're,
Or a third.
consider it's a relative bargain that we're only asking for $1 million.
You know, it's still dollars.
Complicated
But, you know,
project.
Yeah, it's a complicated project. There's a lot of unforeseen things. We've basically been able to tackle all of those in a very good way where we're able to maybe reduce some items if we know we're gonna be increasing. It's been a big give and take through the entire
Yeah,
process.
can you go down to the last picture you actually had on this? On the far lower right corner then. Is that our property line or is that?
So, yes, that is our property line. So a short portion of that is MMSD's beachfront.
They intend, are they having issues or they don't?
There hasn't been any issues to this point. There has been some concerns faced off of Edgerton, but we were getting very little response and, stuff with them.
Is that a softer slope over there too?
If you look further to the south, to the left, you see that grove of trees and then you get down to the water intake there. That is the Fifth Property LLC parcel and some of the Beazer and Cornell pieces. Important, put a check mark on that. We'll be talking about that later. But that property will not look like the rest of the property. If you can see this native vegetative planting going all the way from north here to south, that would be a gap in the project because the city isn't under ownership or control of the bluff restoration. We were lucky enough to get the piece for the revetment working with those property owners, if you recall. So that is a gap moving forward that we're trying to solve.
That will be basically your place for your main park, your active area that was at the time proposed in the conceptual drawings.
More discussion? Questions? Okay, seeing none, motion.
Marshall will move to approve the change order for the North Lakefront Bluff Stabilization and Revetment Project in the amount of $1,002,011.55.
Guzekowski, second.
Roll call.
Alderman Ritz,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Gale,
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
And item 18 is consideration of a resolution granting a We Energies permanent underground electrical easement at 7115 South Howell Avenue. Matt?
Mayor, give me one moment, please. So this is an easement that we're requesting, or We Energies is requesting, over in the corner of Howell and Rawson Avenue. This is in conjunction with the Rawson Avenue project Milwaukee County is undertaking as far as design. They're currently going through the design process and real estate acquisitions. We Energies needs this to be able to facilitate their towers and moving some of their lines around to be able to the project and complete the project. Pretty standard. Not an area that we utilize. It's kind of, I think we have some plantings, plant beds and things in those corners. Other than that, it's the ATC line that runs through there. I'd be happy to answer any questions on that, but we would recommend approval.
Planning for this is what's stakes and red flags.
Yes, that's what you see down through Rawson, is that's your real estate, marking that property out as they go through and talk to the landowners.
Your discussion? Seeing none, motion.
Marshall move to adopt resolution number 12510-071624, a resolution granting a We Energies permanent underground electric easement at 7115 South Owl Avenue.
Guzekowski, second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Marshall,
Aye.
Gale,
Aye.
Guzekowski,
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Item 19 is consideration of a motion to award the carbon reduction street lighting upgrade project to Gray Bar at an estimated cost of $350,145.50 upon WISDOT approval.
Thank you, Mayor. This is that request for awarding that carbon reduction street lighting upgrade. This is part of some of our funding grants that we've received from WISDOT. This is under the carbon reduction and the reduction grant program, which was with the funding that mechanisms that were brought forward a few years ago from the federal government. And this is an 80% federal, 20% city. So this is just for procurement of the actual street lights. This allows us to purchase all of the lights, the SIMCON nodes, which allows us then to control the energy levels that we're using within our LEDs, and gives us the opportunity to reduce energy resources and power throughout the times when it's not needed in the evenings as much. This will probably get us close to 25% of our entire LED or light switched over to LEDs. We're primarily focusing on arterial roads, so Rawson's, Drexel's, open areas that we can get the standard lights in. So part of this, we have to go through an approval with WISDOT. Ashley has been working very diligently with them, getting the approvals. They've had a staff turnover there, which has caused some delays on our end, trying to get that stuff to them. Feel pretty confident. We've been in contact with them recently. Their approval is just pending someone reviewing it, but we don't see an issue. We've been working with DPW there on staff and ready to start procuring these items and then installing them. So that's the next item, is our staff will be doing most of the work, if not all of the work, internally. So we'll have pretty good control over a lot of the stuff as far as where we put it and how we implement the actual installations. More than happy to answer any questions.
For Matt? Oh, good procurement of money, though.
How many fixtures, Matt, does?
Oh, I couldn't give you, it's a 600, I believe, close to 600
Oh, okay,
fixtures.
so
About
Steve is-
25% of all of our
He's a
LEDs.
one-man show, though. So
Yeah,
it's-
this can be a couple-year program for him.
Okay.
This is not set on 1 year. This just allows us to procure those items. We will be continually working on them. We also do have a federal grant, which is $78,000. We were awarded too, that coincides with this. This is also, remember, this is also part of our strategic action plan, which has been sitting out there. I believe this is the second rendition of our LED upgrades. So it's been in there for the last 2 renditions. So we're actually finally getting some headway on this. It's pretty exciting. Ashley's been doing a fantastic job along with Steve.
See it.
Good. Here.
There's no further discussion. Motion.
So move to approve resolution 12510-071624, granting a We Energies permanent, next one. Give a move to award the carbon reduction street lighting upgrade project to Gray Bar. Estimated cost of $350,145.50.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
And item 20 is consideration of a motion to award the Fire Station 3 parking lot rehabilitation construction unit price contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Lalonde Contractors, Inc., at an estimated cost of $145,416.76, and authorize the transfer of funds from CIP number 22003, project number 23.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the award for the Fire Station Number 3 parking lot rehabilitation. This primarily is the visitor parking, some parking for like battalion chiefs and different staff that might park there. It's directly south of the building. The entire parking lot will be replaced. Curb and gutter, we're going to try to save as much as we can. This will replace it into concrete though. So this is where all the trucks enter off of Rawson. It's currently asphalt and is failing. I believe we did a project about 15 years ago with asphalt only in the drive lane and it's failed out. So we've decided to go to concrete, which will be much more rigid, much be able to handle the loads and the type of use there much better. We originally had this budgeted about $114,000. That was in early or late 2022 is when we did the budget. Things have changed over time. We did add additional stuff. We did find out that the asphalt was not as thick, not have as much stone, things along those items. So we've added a number of items compared to when we originally did our first estimate. That's why you're seeing the contract price about $145. We do have additional funds that are available in that one project number. We're requesting to remove our things, which is 22003. We have a significant amount of funds there, so I'm not too uncomfortable with moving those funds around to facilitate this project and get it done correct. More than happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Matt, given the loads of the fire equipment and the trucks going in and out of there, permeable pavers, anything green we could have tied into MMSD like we did at the police station was out of bounds?
Actually, at this point, we're kind of tapped out on our funds on the green infrastructure. I know there's more coming. We do have substantial amount of other additional stuff that we need to look at for green infrastructure. We'd be looking at a structural of concrete though. So there hasn't been much, I guess, good results with concrete from what we've understand and we've researched in the area for the permeable type of concrete. I do not believe pavers would have held up as well, and the asphalt tends to not handle larger vehicles turning and moving on it as well. So concrete was probably our best option for longevity.
Asking. Anyone else? Okay, motion.
Marshall will move to award the Fire Station Number 3 parking lot rehabilitation construction unit price contract to the lowest responsive responsible bidder, Ladonda Contractors Incorporated, at the estimated cost of $145,416.76, and to authorize the transfer of funds from CIP number 22003.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
And item 21 is consideration to approve the various license requests as listed on the 7/16/2024 License Committee report. Anybody on the committee want to
Sure, I'll take
go on that, Jim? Thank you.
Before you is the background report on all the applicants. Please review it. See if you have any questions. If there are no questions. Various license requests as listed on the 7/16/24 license committee.
Marshall, second.
Roll call.
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
And item 22 is consideration of a motion to approve the June 26, 2024 vendor summary report in the amount of $283,792.45. Please look at your report. If you have any questions, discussions, please take the floor. You're satisfied? There's no questions or discussion? Motion on 22.
I will move to approve the June 26, 2024 vendor summary report in the amount of $283,792.45.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
And item 23 is consideration of a motion to approve the July 10th, 2024 vendor summary report, the amount of $1,118,066.86. And once again, if you have any questions on that report, please take the floor. Hearing no discussion or questions, motion on 23.
Marshall will move to approve the July 10th, 2024 vendor summary report in the total of $1,118,066.86.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And item 24 is consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute, Section 19.85, to discuss the following. A, Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub E, to discuss acquisition of the property located at 4301 East Depot Road. President Gale?
Thank you, Mayor. Gail moves to convene in the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute, Section 19.85, to discuss the following. A, Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub E, to discuss acquisition of the property located at 4301 East Depot Road.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
We will now convene into closed session and return at its conclusion. Thank you. We will now consider a motion to reconvene in open.
Thank you, Mayor. Gail moves to reconvene in open session.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Excuse me.
Item 26 is consideration to take motion on any action required.
Marshall moves to approve the jurisdictional offer for the acquisition of the property located at 4301 East Depot Road and directs the staff to proceed with the next steps.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
And item 27 is consideration of a motion to concur with the mayor's appointment of Steve Bausch, 3264 East Lindy Lane, to the Plan Commission for a 3-year term expiring April of 27. Any discussions, questions regarding the appointment? Okay, seeing none, motion please.
Gail moves to concur with the mayor's appointment of Steve Bowers, 3264 East Lindy Lane, to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term expiring April of 2027.
Marshall seconds.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Just before adjournment, just one announcement. This weekend is our annual Dog Day event in the square. Correct?
Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday. So the city's going to the dogs that weekend. If you do have the opportunity, please partake and come and visit it, as well as there's a night farmer's market on the 20th. So please, if you can get out there, get out to the square. With that, adjournment, please.
Marshall moves to adjourn.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Night, everybody. Have a fantastic week.